things, let me introduce Amanda Gorman, our nation's first ever National Poet Laureate.
Mr. President, Dr. Biden, Madam Vice President, Mr. Emhoff, Americans, and the world. When day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade? The loss we carry, a sea we must wade. We've braved the belly of the beast. We've learned that quiet isn't always peace, and the norms and notions of what just isn't always just is. And yet the dawn is ours before we knew it. Somehow we do it. Somehow we've weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. We, the successors of a country and a time where a skinny black girl descended from slaves and raised by a single mother can dream of becoming president, only to find herself reciting for one. And yes, we are far from polished, far from pristine, but that doesn't mean we are striving to form a union that is perfect. We are striving to forge our union with purpose, to compose a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of man. And so we lift our gazes not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. We close the divide because we know to put our future first, we must first put our differences aside. We lay down our arms so we can reach out our arms to one another. We seek harm to none and harmony for all. Let the globe, if nothing else, say this is true. That even as we grieved, we grew, that even as we hurt, we hoped, that even as we tired, we tried, that we'll forever be tied together, victorious, not because we will never again know defeat, but because we will never again sow division. Scripture tells us to envision that everyone shall sit under their own vine and fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid. If we're to live up to our own time, then victory won't lie in the blade, but in all the bridges we've made. That is the promised glade, the hill we climb, if only we dare it, because being American is more than a pride we inherit. It's the past we step into and how we repair it. We've seen a force that would shatter our nation rather than share it, would destroy our country if it meant delaying democracy. And this effort very nearly succeeded. But while democracy can be periodically delayed, it can never be permanently defeated. In this truth, in this faith we trust, for while we have our eyes on the future, history has its eyes on us. This is the era of just redemption. We feared it at its inception. We did not feel prepared to be the heirs of such a terrifying hour, but within it we found the power to author a new chapter, to offer hope and laughter to ourselves. So, while once we asked, how could we possibly prevail over catastrophe? Now we assert, how could catastrophe possibly prevail over us? We will not march back to what was, but move to what shall be, a country that is bruised but whole, benevolent but bold, fierce and free. We will not be turned around or interrupted by intimidation, because we know our inaction and inertia will be the inheritance of the next generation. Our blunders become their burdens. But one thing is certain: if we merge mercy with might and might with right, then love becomes our legacy and change our children's birthright. So let us leave behind a country better than the one we were left. With every breath from my bronze-pounded chest, we will raise this wounded world into a wondrous one. We will rise from the gold-limbed hills of the West. We will rise from the wind-swept Northeast, where our forefathers first realized revolution. We will rise from the lake-rimmed cities of the Midwestern states. We will rise from the sun-baked South. We will rebuild, reconcile, and recover in every known nook of our nation, in every corner called our country. Our people, diverse and beautiful, will emerge battered and beautiful. When day comes, we step out of the shade, aflame and unafraid. The new dawn blooms as we free it. For there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it.
Wow. How's that for a national debut?
Kevin Day, take it away.
All right. Well, how you doing, Chris? Glad to be here with you. Yeah, we had an interesting meeting with Toots and the Maytals. It's funny how we got the gig too. We had sent a cassette tape. That's how long ago it was. Well, an intern at Toad's Place, which is a legendary club in New Haven, Connecticut. Everybody's played there. In fact, Bob Dylan's played there. The Stones. You name it. I've seen Cracker and Camper Van Beethoven there. So there was an intern had heard our tape, and this one song that we had been playing since the 80s. My friend Mike Tweedy and I wrote. It was kind of quasi reggae, and so she called me up and asked me if we wanted to open up for Toots and the Maytals. And of course I said, of course, he's a legend, who wouldn't want it? And because she said, well, you guys are reggae, right? And I said, absolutely. So,
Right.
So the funny thing was, what we did was we started practicing all of our songs and changed the beat to play the reggae. And so what happened was that we opened up for them 1 year. That was in 1998. And actually it was about 6 months later, we opened up for them again. And we're sitting at a table, and the Maytals were doing their sound check. And we're sitting there, and someone walked up behind us, and we kind of felt their presence, and we turned around, and it was Toots Hibbert. He's the godfather of reggae. He's the one that coined the phrase reggae music, music for regular people. I know people think reggae, they think Bob Marley, who is, of course, also, an amazing legend himself. But so we were all nervous. We got up, and we're like, oh, Toots, oh, how are you? He goes, he said, Giggle Juice. And I remember you from last year. And he made a fist. He touched his heart, and he said, respect. And he gave us a fist bump. And I'll tell you, we were beside ourselves. We were like, oh my God, Toots remembers us. This is it's 22 years ago. This is a long time ago. And we had one of the greatest shows at Toad's Place. I know some of my fellow crumbs have been to Toad's Place in New Haven, like Jim and Sandra Hostetler. They're from Connecticut. They've been there. Julie Bradlow went to Yale. I know she's probably been to Toad's Place. It was quite an experience for us, And it was, like I said, it was amazing because we're not really a reggae band, We're just like, it was one of those things. And I said, oh, of course we're reggae.
That's rock and roll.
Hey, it's Mike Gagan from The Dangers. I'm here at studio in Redlands, and Marie and I were doing some guitar overdubs, and these two gentlemen stopped by, and they're going to help me with a couple of things. This is Bonesy and Skinny, or is it Skinny and Bonesy? I can't remember. I never get you guys straight. but I'm glad you're doing the social distancing thing, for me at least, and you're wearing your mask. So that's cool. I appreciate you guys being here because I know it's real busy this time of year for you, especially. So, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to sing a danger song, and I want you to just play along with me, and then I want you also to say the words, "Hey, play Orange Blossom," when I give you the cue. Okay? So we're going to try this to see if it works. These guys are pretty good, so they should pick up on it pretty quick. So here we go. Ready? You guys are already playing. That's how ready you are. Okay. We're the last band this evening that brought our own power. Hey, play Orange Blossom. That's late for this hour. Notes become fireflies, they spin through the tower. All over the searching is late counting hour. So that was pretty good. It was you were a little silent on the part, but I covered for you. There's something I always wanted to ask you guys. Mars Attacks, right? Jack Nicholson. Was he cool on the set, or was he sort of a prima donna?
Well, the eggs chase the bacon round the frying pan, and the whining dog pigeons by the steeple bell road, and the dogs tip the garbage cans over last night, and there's always construction work bothering you in the neighborhood. In the neighborhood, in the neighborhood, with Friday's a funeral and Saturday's the bride. Say's got a pistol on the register side, and the goddamn delivery trucks make too much noise, and we don't get our butter delivered no more. In the neighborhood, in the neighborhood, in the neighborhood. Well, Big Mambo's kicking his old greyhound, and the kids can't get ice cream 'cause the market burned down, and the newspaper sleeping bags blow down the lane, and the goddamn flatbeds got me winding again. In the neighborhood, in the neighborhood, in the neighborhood. Well, there's a couple Filipino girls giggling by the church, and the window is busted 'cause the landlord ain't home. And Butch joined the army, yeah, that's where he's been. And the jackhammer's digging up the sidewalks again. In the neighborhood, in the neighborhood, in the neighborhood.
How you doing, my friend?
Hey, DC, I'm doing good.
Do you have some other friends that hang around with you on LeRoy Street?
Oh, yeah, you got to meet some of these characters. man. I'll bring them by next time.
Okay, I'm really looking forward to meeting your friends on Leroy Street. So long, Boss Cat.
See you, DC.
Former Colton resident Jim Messina is primarily known for his membership in such groups as Buffalo Springfield, Poco, and Loggins and Messina. But his musical career began right here in the Inland Empire. Messina's first musical influence was his father, Joe Messina. Jim says of his dad, "My father was a musician, a great player, much better than I am, and I was so inspired watching him play that I just had to do that." The second big musical influence on Jim Messina was surf guitar legend Dick Dale and his Fender Stratocaster guitar. Messina saw a number of Dick Dale's Inland Empire concerts in the early 1960s and walked away mesmerized. It was the overwhelming sound produced by Dale's Fender Stratocaster guitar and Fender amplifier setup that impressed the young musician. Messina reminisced about those days, saying, "I'd go to Dick Dale concerts and watch him play, and he was really the first one who had the machine gun sounding guitar, and I had to have one." So it was to Messina's great disappointment that when his mother bought him his first electric guitar, it was a Gretsch solid-body guitar with 2 pickups and not a Fender Strat. One day Messina was in an LA pawn shop and he saw a beat-up Stratocaster on display. The pawn shop dealer offered the Strat to Messina if he would trade in his Gretsch and throw in an extra $100. Messina accepted the deal and took his guitar home. Feeling bad that he traded in a new guitar for a beat-up Stratocaster, he decided he had to clean it up before showing it to his mother. So the first thing he did was to get a new paint job. Having no other choice, he took the guitar to a local Earl Scheib dealer and asked them if they would paint it. They told him they could do it for the regular price of painting a car. And so for $29.95, they painted the guitar a shiny pearlescent white, just like Dick Dale's guitar. Messina was now ready to conquer the music world. The Messina family moved to Colton in 1962, and that summer he formed his first Inland Empire band, the Boutonnieres. This band's first regular gig was at the pool house of the Grand Terrace Country Club, where the parents sipped martinis while the Boutonnieres played for free Shirley Temples. This band eventually evolved into the Pendletons, seen here performing at a Catholic youth organization Christmas dance in the parish hall of the Immaculate Conception Church in Colton. There was some discord in this band, so some of the members split to form the Hysterics, and Messina assembled his third Colton band, the Jesters. The band became regulars on the local CYO high school dance Battle of the Bands circuit. Here are a number of photos taken while Jim Messina and his Jesters played Colton High School dances in the school's ancient Macintosh gymnasium. As you might expect, the gym's acoustics were horrific, but the dancers didn't seem to mind. When the students danced on the gym floor, they had to remove their street shoes so as not to scratch up the basketball floor. So it literally was a sock hop. The All-Stars were a one-time supergroup made up of Colton High School rock musicians. Jim Messina and 2 of his Jesters were members of this band when they played a school talent assembly. In March 1964, the band signed up for a play-a-thon concert at Pacific Ocean Park in Santa Monica. The point was to play a marathon concert and attempt to break a record for consecutive hours playing. 3 to 5 of the Jesters played in shifts, while the others averaged 4 hours of sleep. The biggest danger to the band was when an 80-mile-per-hour ocean gust blew down the bandstand. No one was injured, and the contest continued. The Jesters eventually played for 100 consecutive hours, and it was declared that they had set a new record. The band's next achievement was an album that was released in 1964, The Dragster. It appeared on the Audio Fidelity label. The recording of this LP led to Jim Messina making some important connections that were to serve him well in the future. Meanwhile, Jim Messina graduated from Colton High School in June 1965, and he was now able to concentrate full-time on his music career. Part 2 of the Jim Messina story discusses his escape from Colton and into the LA music scene of the 60s and 70s.
Blood Moon, filthy capitalist self-promotion.
I'm used to this part.
Yeah.
For every one of your shows.
Going live in 10 minutes.
Hello, John. And I'm so glad that we got to get together to help promote your album, because it's so it does all the things you do well, even a little better.
Outside, all the world is standing by, or so the voices say. Inside, as the truth is still denied, we live another day.
Lost on the Inside.
Lost on the Inside, the pandemic had just come down upon us all as a species, as humans. Cracker had just done a couple of shows in Alaska, and then the brakes came down and all shows were canceled. Everything was up in the air, and we all went home. There was a pandemic. There was a deadly virus out there. I went home, and one of the first things I did was to come up with that riff. And I made sure I got it down before I forgot the riff. And then I thought, well, I'll write a song around it someday, maybe in a year or a month or whatever. The very next day, the lyrics started coming to me, Lost on the Inside, because suddenly we're all in quarantine. Suddenly we're all taken out of our social environment, our work environment, and we have to divide up and go into our homes and protect ourselves from this deadly virus. If you were smart, or you went out there and got it and died saying, I'm not going to have my rights infringed upon it. And then you pass away from this horrible virus. And all these things were going on. And then that title came to me, Lost on the Inside. We're all forced to be inside now, but we really don't know what to do. So we're all lost on the inside, which also relates. You can take that any way you want to, of people lost on the inside, metaphorically. Lost on the inside, your soul's not sorted out yet, pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, but it just inspired me to write from a place of, well, I can't go out. I can't go hang out and watch a band play at my favorite bar in Fort Collins. We're not going to tour. Everything is shut down. We're all lost on the inside. And the song just happened in half an hour. Just got it down quickly.
Yeah. Perfect.
And ended up got a little more psychedelic. And that was just where I was at the time. And later, it was much later decided, Philip was pretty insistent about it, that I think it's a good opener for the album because it speaks to the times that we're in. And it's got one of those Hickman riffs.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
Does.
Never play with me. Bang along the garden gave me.
Yeah, I think, how old were we when we met and started making music together? I think I was 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a very long time ago. We started learning from each other and from Bob Jarvistad and other friends of ours right from the get-go, and creating who we are as artists. And they have all these influences, but we kind of started writing our own page pretty early on.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm very proud of that fact. I go back and listen to those songs that we wrote together all the way through to now. And on this record, there is a Chris LeRoy song and a Johnny and Chris song, and the rest are Johnny songs. And so here we are. The longest song on the album.
Number 10, Monster.
Number 10, Monster. Monster was birthed from a demo. Well, it was beyond a demo. It was basically a complete song. Sometimes it's a matter of like, no, it's a complete structure and it just needs the right sounds, or it needs one more lyric line or something. And we complete each other's songs that way. And it's a real joy to do with Chris and I, as with Mr. Lowry and I. Sometimes we complete a blueprint that was set down by the other guy. And in this case, it was one of several songs of Chris's that I'd heard that I kind of went, huh, I can see the monster in my soul, which was powerful right there. And somewhere in Chris's chord structure, which I added to and changed and morphed throughout my version of the song, but it was just, I heard, into my mind, I heard a guitar epic in the middle of that, along the lines of Harvest Queen and these other songs, or another song about the rain, these songs we've written together, which become a canvas for my guitar playing. And there weren't, there are guitar solos all through Blood Moon. I kind of heard the possibilities of it becoming one of our guitar epic co-writes. And Cracker has those songs. They say Kajetan, were these songs where David's got an initial idea, and I just launch it into outer space into this big guitar thing. And I'm kind of known, thank you people, as a guitar player. I've heard I've been an influential guitar player, which leads me to all the guitar players who have influenced me, who I bring full circle into these songs. Peter Green was the influence of the guitar parts on Harvest Queen, which
Absolutely.
we wrote. Peter Green era, Fleetwood Mac, and these guitar players that are Jimi Hendrix, or, you know, I have these teachers who have led me, Jeff Beck, who have led me down these paths. And then we get to Monster, and my initial version of the song was yet again like 8 minutes long or something. So I had to pare it down. And I had Carlton Owens and Brian Howard. I sent my rough draft of the song to those guys to see where they would take it as Cracker's very, very powerful rhythm section. And they took it to a very heavy, but very dynamic place musically. And I kind of went with their lead on that. And I took it even farther, where on the record, the song starts in a very delicate, I'm playing 2 acoustic guitars with different tunings to get this. I wanted to get this sort of mid-period Stones, Keith Richards thing of the guitar, like at the beginning of like Wild Horses, or one of these songs that at their core is an acoustic guitar song.
Yeah.
But, you know, and the picking and very lacy and very pretty. But I wanted to take Monster, start that way, and then it starts that way and it goes to a verse, and then bam, for some reason, Brian and Carlton decided that this is where the foot is planted. Kaboom, boom, and then they bring it to rock. It's like Layla, or one of these songs that delicate side, and then it gets gigantic, or Stairway to Heaven, or any number of Zeppelin songs, or songs that incorporate this beautiful, I call it the feminine side of the song, which gets very masculine. It gets very heavy at some point, but never loses its feminine side of the beauty, of the delicacy of the lyric and the song. So I wanted to create a song that would do this, as we've done with another song about the rain, or I've done with St. Cajetan, some of the Cracker songs, or One Fine Day, where it becomes a guitar epic. And you know, and it's a very freeing thing, because I know at some point in the song I'm going to launch into guitar worlds. And so Monster became this song of many chapters. It's a long story that keeps turning back on that chorus, which is very, very powerful. Thank you, Chris. Trevor, our English friend, got it immediately. He called it, what does he call it? The guitar epic Monster finds Hickman rejoining with his songwriting partner, Chris LeRoy. And their songwriting partnership is what made Palm Hinge this great debut solo album, with with Lucky and with Harvest Queen, and he immediately got that there was a power in our songwriting.
Yeah.
Did you have a prayer for me to bring along the garden gate with me? Did you really cry for me? When I look inside of me, I see, yeah, I can see the monster in my soul. Yeah, I can see the monster in my soul. There's no turning back now. It's out of all control.
And it gets to this huge place. I listen to it now and I go, wow, I really went out there, man.
Yeah, no, it is. It's such a powerful ending to a very powerful album. I mean, it has all these pathways, but they seem to be held together. As I shared with you earlier, says that in this song, it seems to kind of even pull the album forward, and it's like a nebula, exploding, this big giant thing. But
Good
then
way to
it ends
put it.
on some very simple quiet chords that take you out.
Yeah.
Finishes the thought. And, like I wrote to you, 3 hours ago, maybe I said, you should be very proud of Blood Moon because I am.
I think I got what I was going for here.
Yeah, it's too
There's a little taste of some things coming soon.
I seen a shooting star tonight, girl, and I thought of you. You were trying to break into another world, was a world that I never knew. And I guess I always wondered if you'd ever made it through. Shooting star tonight, and I thought of you. Shooting star tonight, girl, I thought of me. Was I still the same? Had I ever became what you wanted me to be? But I guess I missed the mark, overstepped the line only you could see. Was a shooting star tonight, and I thought of me. Listen to the engines, listen to the bells, listen to the fire truck from hell goes rolling by, and all good people are praying. It's the last account, last time you might hear that sermon on the mount, yeah. The last radio play. Shooting star tonight, girl, it just slipped away, and tomorrow is just another lonely Sunday. I never said the thanks to you that you needed to hear me say. Was a shooting star tonight, girl, it slipped away.
everyone, and welcome to Brown Box. This is an offshoot of Dylan Box. If you notice, there's nothing written on the box, hence Brown Box.
Good title.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm Ryan, and
I'm Chris.
And the gist of this show is we're each going to kind of turn each other on to some music that we in our own personal collections that the other person either may not be so familiar with or may not be so hip to. So that's just really quick, kind of just what we're looking at.
Okay.
You want to go first, or?
No, it's have you go first.
All right, so let me pick out my pick here. So we have, okay, one of my other favorite Bobs. This is a record by Mr. Bob Pollard and his band, Guided by Voices. This album is Alien Lanes, and it's actually, this is the 25th year.
Oh.
Bob Pollard is a former elementary school teacher who was weekends. He was a rock and roll guy. He's recorded thousands of songs and never really thought of becoming a full-time musician until around the time of this record, a little before this record.
Oh, okay.
And then that's when, and he's been playing music ever since with either like this band or 20 other bands that he does. Okay. So with different people. I discovered this maybe about 20 years ago. I love it because it reminds me of side 2 of Abbey Road, where all the songs just kind of flow together. It's just one after the other. It's about 27 songs, and I think maybe in about a little less than 40 minutes. So, I mean, you're getting like a lot of snippets and kind of like ideas.
Resonance territory there.
A little bit, yeah. But I mean, lo-fi. But the great thing to sell you on is the melody. Is this like the way this guy just writes these melodies? It sounds like, I think he said it like Beatles demos. I mean, so it's a very like 60s sounding record, and that's what I love about this and a lot of his other albums. It's just it's amazing.
I didn't know his history. I know about Guided by Voices, but I didn't know that he was no more a teacher. There's a lot of good rock and roll teachers.
Absolutely.
And that he sort of just built his song momentum into this as a gig.
It was a guy, and everyone was telling him, like, you're wasting your time with this band thing, and because he was spending money, he was taking out loans from the school credit union to press records, and then they weren't selling. So it was just like, there's a record a couple before this one. It was like the last one, and his manager, on the slide sent it to all these people, and they started calling him up, and then so it just became, it was the right time. Kind of mid '90s. Is when they kind of got noticed, and then a lot of other bands kind of gravitated towards it.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
I love it. It's an amazing record.
So you had heard the earlier albums, or you started with this?
I heard the earlier ones. The first one I heard was Isolation Drills, which was a 2000 release, which was incredibly polished. And the album before that one was produced by Rick Ocasek. And that one, as you can imagine, was incredibly polished. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, this sounds good to me. Let's go check out some of their other stuff. So I went back to a record before this, some of their EPs, and eventually got to this. And I'm like, is this the same band? Like, is it because it was completely like this? The not only the fidelity of it, but like you're hearing like snatches of songs. You're hearing like just different ideas and different styles. But it's all him. And it's all it's all like familiar.
Yeah.
This one, I don't know why. I keep going back to it because it's like, if you're gonna turn someone on to this band, it's not maybe the best record, but if you're a fan of 60s music, if you like the Beatles, if you like stuff like the Kinks, then this record is for you.
There you go.
Definitely.
Guided by Voices. That's a very good Brown Box recommendation.
Thank you.
So we have this guitar behind us that's been on the table for the last few songs that we played, and I wanted to tell you a quick story about it. So this belonged to a friend of mine named Robert Balo. Robert was one of the first people when I started in Fender in 1999 that I became friendly with. He was a tuner tester there, a super nice guy. We lived kind of like parallel lives, as it turns out, different high schools, and we finally met at Fender. And he was always the kind of guy that would to get a guitar, and he would get like parts of a guitar that you're able to buy at employee sales, and he'd sand off the finish, and he would, like, all this is his illustrations that he did. And then he'd swap pick guards and necks and everything. He was really, really good at working on guitars. So in September of 2003, unfortunately, he passed away, you know, and he's still missed. I still think of him all the time. And I've been very good friends with his wife, Tracy. And Tracy wound up through Bob and Robert and Tracy know Bob and Lisa. They go way back with those two. And they were in Europe on one of their tours. Tracy was living there after Robert had passed. So they were doing the tour, and then Tracy asked if they can, you know, bring these guitars back. And they wound up with me, because Tracy basically said, take these two guitars and please make sure that they get played. Mm-hmm. And they hadn't been played in, you know, since Robert was around. So, and there was some oxidation, old strings, things like that. So I was taking it apart and cleaning it up, making sure and putting new strings on, wiping it down. And I thought, well, what kind of pickups are there on this? And I took off the pick guard and I opened it up, and and remember, Robert did all this illustration. While he was doing that, he also drew a heart, and it says RB loves TB for Tracy Balo. So, and I took a picture of it and I sent it to Tracy. I said, "Did you know that he did this?" And she didn't. And it was just like probably what Rob was hoping, that someday she would find out somehow, and she did. It was by complete accident, but it was a very I just felt such a warm rush, you know, of good feeling, you know, when I saw it. And I just remembered Rob freshly remembered him all over again. So he's a great player. He's a great local musician, and you know, just kind of celebrating his life. And you know, it's going to be 17 years in a few weeks, you know, when he had passed. So I was thinking about it. I thought, man, this would be really cool to talk about. As it turns out, too, I also wanted to talk about the song "Lucky."
Oh, okay.
Because we've, you know, talked about the origin of it, but I also played the solo on "Lucky" on this guitar.
Oh, okay.
So
there you go.
Which is pretty cool. So it's kind of a tie-in. You know, we got Bob and Lisa, we got Tracy, we got the Tracy Dell, which he named it. You can see it's written up there. He named it after his wife, and that's the Tracy Dell Strat. And I told her, hey, I played this solo, so she was real happy. So. Ooh. Well, you want to give it a shot right now?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, I'll use this. Using the Tracy Dell.
All right.
Thank you, Tracy.
Yeah. How
and thank you, Robert Balo. Beautiful guitar. I just love this.
Yeah.
There's even in the back, he's got this really cool rosewood backplate that he made for it. It's very unique and it sounds great.
So Lucky, we'll play that for you, friend.
Okay.
For Robert.
Robert Balo.
I'm lucky for my fingers, lucky bed to sleep, lucky thoughts will linger.
Well, I caught your trail downtown, the fury and the sound, and you look kind of different the way that I remembered. Well, you drunk on holy water, just like Satan's daughter, and you say I'm a lot more fun when I'm dismembered. Well, the black cat crosses the highway, and the rain soaks through my shoes, and all I have left to show is 13 roses. Well, you smile like a snake when you come unwound, and the only fun thing about hell is going down. trail downtown, the fury and the sound, and you look kind of different the way that I remembered. Well, you're drunk on holy water, just like Satan's daughter, and you say I'm a lot more fun when I'm dismembered. Well, the black cat crosses the highway, and the rain soaks through my shoes, and all I have left to show is 13 roses. And all I have left to show is 13 roses. And all I have left to show is 13 roses.
Just walk away, Renee. You won't see me follow you back home. The empty sidewalks on my block are not the same. You're not to blame. Okay. 2, 3, 4.
Folks who were never there.
Yeah.
Breaks my heart.
I think it's a story about. I think it's a story about a lot of things and cohesiveness with musicians and fans and friends and how you spend your vacation time and how we're so elated to see one another. It looked like a different planet, but a wonderful planet of rock and roll.
Hi, I'm Shitty Batman. You know, that's how he opened up. He had a Batman uniform on. And hi, I'm Shitty Batman. And it set the pace. It set the tone for the whole night.
I ride my bike, I drive my car, take me out. I ride my bike, I drive my car, take me out. I ride my bike, I drive my car, take me out.
The first camp out with costumes was Campout 5, and David had asked that one night everybody dress all in white. I think that was a shorter camp out. It was just a Friday and Saturday, and he had asked, okay, Friday night, would everybody please dress in white? And Saturday night, would everyone please dress in black? And I guess you would have been there on Friday night.
Yeah.
And I remember standing in line to get my pass for camp out, and there was David in his hoodie handing out Kool-Aid, and that famous picture of him handing out Kool-Aid, that was actually a photo that I took. I had just gotten the new digital camera, and I asked if I could take his picture since he wasn't on stage. I felt like I should ask, and he says, of course, and he strikes this little pose, and I had a second to catch the shot, and like I said, I just got this camera, so I was hoping that it turned out okay, and it did turn out okay. What I liked about the last camp out is certainly I think because it was the last one, there were people who hadn't been in a while who were there. There were people who had never been to a camp out who were there, and that I think there was some concern that, oh gee, it's going to be overrun because there's so many people, but it really didn't have that feeling.
Mm-mm.
It had and certainly for the the diehards, the loyalists among us, it really was something special. It really was, I thought, from beginning to end, the best camp out ever.
Yeah.
Just because I think everyone gave it their all, because nobody knew when a gathering like this was going to happen again, when we were going to see each other again. Right. As you say, it was partly about the music, partly about the this group of people, and just this notion of just putting the past in the past and going forward into the the unknown. Mm-hmm. And well, all I can say is given the way 2020 has turned out, that turned out to be this absolutely brilliant stroke of foresight.
As this rock keeps rolling, words come to an end. It's the same as living, my dear friends. And every time together, all the love you say, we can start this show right up again. We'll be together in the morning. We've been together all night.
Hello, folks. A last thought. I want to just say thanks to all the bands and fans and poets and documentarians who came together to make this crazy year, this horrible year, survivable. But we made it together.
Thanks for coming to a Christmas show. We're gonna have to go. Something right in the world. You take